So I have the pleasure to introduce a speaker, and I'm super excited to hear from her. Her name is Anna Sorge. So if you want to head up. Anna is a wife and mother of 4, and girlfriend has been a manager of just about everything. A luxury makeup, luxury boutique, Trader Joe's, a cafe, a bookstore, all the things. So you have a ton of experience, which I love. And this December, so next month, she is launching a new cafe in Grandview on Main Street called Housewives. I mean, come on, Housewife. I mean, come on. Let's go visit that. That sounds fun. Let's start a women's group at your cafe. That sounds awesome. So here you go. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, I just have to add into this because Anna was probably 10, 11, do you remember, honey? Sitting in our living room with her family and our family. And Anna was always the one that's like taking the mountains. And really, the Lord really put a different mantle on you than your siblings. Yeah. And I remember cheering you on in that season. And you were like all about, becoming a professional cook. And we were just like, you so got this. And so just to see you now and to have you here is just like kind of deja vu. It's very fun.
Yes. Well, my name is Anna Sorge, and I am 38 years old with 4 kids. I'll kind of give you a little background just to how I was raised, and then kind of talk about my early years as a wife and mom, and then that will lead me into where I am now. So I was raised in a really incredible, godly home with 2 just amazing parents. They were just incredible. I have 4 sisters. There were 4 girls, and then finally my parents got their boy. So he's the youngest. And he was their pride and joy, and obviously they loved all of us 4 girls, but a really tight-knit. It's so interesting, hearing all of these stories from different upbringings, and a lot of y'all grew up in just different. I love it. Differences are so good for us. But I love my sisters. We're still super close to this day, and my brother too. But I was for sure the black sheep in my family. My kids say it now, we're just built different. I'm like, I don't think it wasn't a good thing. I had a really horrible speech impediment. I had a lazy eye. I had a mom who did not know how to style her children, so I had home haircuts and home sewn clothes, and we're all matching. It was the same tablecloth for everyone, and so, but I just was different. I just was a black sheep. I was a little bit more outspoken. I was a little bit more fiery, and everyone else in my family was just kind of I can't say anything negative because I love them so much, but they just weren't like me. So to this day, everyone in the family, they went into ministry. All of my sisters pretty much are pastors' wives, which is awesome. That's great. I just never wanted that life. I just was a little bit different. So I had a very unique relationship with the Lord, I think, from a young age. And I really thank my parents for raising me in a godly environment and instilling those values in me, because I feel like I've been able to take my differences and been able to really hone in and connect with the Lord and not be afraid of what other people think. So I married a really extroverted man, and got married at 20, and we started having kids 3 months into our marriage, because we thought it through, And so by the time I was 26, I had 4 kids. The first 2 were 13 months apart, and that was planned, believe it or not. We were crazy. And then the next 2 we did not want. I I mean, honestly, I didn't want 4 kids. We wanted 2. We were happy with 2. I didn't think that I could be a mom of 4. It was just too many. But the Lord has other plans. And I think that you'll find kind of all throughout my story is that our plans for our lives are not our own. We are not in control at all. And the sooner we can realize that, the better. We are pawns on this chessboard, and God is in charge. So I was on birth control. People had dreams we were pregnant. I'm like, there's no way. 2 weeks later, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, how is this happening? So my third baby, I really wrestled with just hatred. I just didn't want a third child. I was really frustrated. I really struggled with the pregnancy. I was driven. I wanted to own my own business. I want to do all the things. Why do I have to be locked into motherhood? And I'm emotional today. So y'all can just get all the tears and all of that. So I was 9 months pregnant with my third, really struggled with him. And I have a dream. And in this dream, I am in the basement of my in-laws' house, and I get a phone call from this prophetic guy in Israel. And I have no idea, the name. I just know he's a prophetic guy in Israel. And he was like, Anna, I never do this. I just had to call and let you know that I had a dream, and you were supposed to have a 4th child. And I hang up, and everyone, and so this is in the dream, but I dream within a dream. And so I hang up, and everyone's like, who was that? And I was like, nothing, it was nobody. The guy calls back, and he was like, Anna, you were supposed to have a 4th child. Do not doubt the plans of the Lord. This child has connections with Israel. Do not doubt the plans of the Lord. Trust him. And so then I'm like, oh, crap. I didn't even want 3, and now I know I'm going to have 4, And so, yes, I had 4 kids. I won't go into the details of how we got pregnant with him, but the Lord had his way, and everything that I tried, he broke through those barriers. And we have 4 kids. So this child, don't worry, we went and got a vasectomy before he was even born. I was like, yes, God's in charge, but this is happening. And so, yeah, true story. Honesty is the key, right? So my 4th child, he was a prolapse cord birth. So it was emergency cesarean. They said they had never seen a live prolapse cord birth at Research Medical Center where I delivered. From the time I arrived at the hospital, he was out within 20 minutes. So my midwife who was with me, it was truly a miracle. And they call him Miracle Max at Research Medical Center. And they told me, because he wasn't breathing in the womb, that it would be a year before I would know if he was mentally retarded, as we passed all of those different development stages. So at that point in my life, I'm 26. I've got all these kids. My husband was working at IHOP at the time. And I always worked part-time. I worked 10 years at Dean & DeLuca. I left Dean & DeLuca after I had Max because I was told that because I was a woman, I would never be a manager. And it's so funny because I'm still friends with this guy and his family, and they're all coming to my new restaurant here in a couple weeks, but I was like, oh, well, okay, forget that. Well, I'm not going to get promoted here, so I'm going to go somewhere else. So I quit Dean & DeLuca, and I'm stuck at home with a child who has reactive detachment disorder because of the NICU, and he pretty much cried 12 to 14 hours a day. And so I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? For real, my life is rough, and I don't want to be a mom. I want to be out in the workplace, so what am I going to do? So I just started cooking. I was honestly a horrible cook when I got married. I couldn't even really put pizza in the oven. Frozen pizza was difficult. Anyway, so I started cooking and baking and just giving it away because I didn't want to eat it, but I had to do something and find some enjoyment in life. And I just figured, you know what? I'm dealt these cards. I'm going to do it well. And I'm just going to apply myself and be excellent in the home and see if the Lord blesses it, because I have no other options. I can't leave. I can't go get a job. I have to do this. So the Lord spoke to me just from a really young age that it's just me and him. And I tell a lot of young moms, because I really struggled with not wanting to be a mom. Really, I didn't. And I tell a lot of people that are struggling in that season, like, when you go before the Lord, you're dead, you're at his throne, it's just you and him. And you don't get to say, well, my husband this, or my kids this, or that this. It's just you and him. And every act, everything that I do, my reward with God, it's just me and him. I can't use my kids as an excuse. I can't use my husband as an excuse. I can't use his life in God as a substitute for my own. I don't have any excuses. It's just me and God. And I think that really, and it was just from my hunger for more of the Lord. And I think it was that put this spirit of excellence in me. And I think what I really want to say to y'all, I mean, gosh, 15 minutes is nothing. Holy moly. No, it's fine. What I really want to say to everyone, I'll kind of walk you through my different careers and all of that, but I didn't have a 20-year plan. Like, even though I look back and I'm like, yeah, would I have loved to own a restaurant back when I was 20? Yes. But did I have a roadmap to get there? No, not at all. What I did was I took the cards I was dealt and I said, God, how do I be excellent in this role? And how am I, if this is my day, these trials are in front of me, how am I going to love and serve well and get reward? I want to be the best at this thing. So my husband got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and when we left staff at IHOP, we needed insurance. And back in the day, you couldn't just go buy insurance. So you had to work and your company provided it for you. So I didn't go to college, got married so young, had all these kids. I'm like, I have to start a career, and provide for my family. He started copywriting for this company, and his salary was just next to nothing. And so with 4 kids, I was like, okay, these are the cards I'm dealt. This is what I have to do. I have to go to work for my family, provide insurance for my husband who's sick. So I started out, I was a makeup artist at Clinique at Nordstrom, got promoted to manage the Giorgio Armani counter at Nordstrom. I went from there and was recruited to be an assistant manager at Standard Style and Baldwin Jeans over in Town Center. From there, I got promoted to be general manager of the Plaza store. From there, it was kind of a toxic environment. Won't go too much into that, but our family needed a change, and I had pretty much become a negative person. And so, again, play the cards you're dealt, right? You only have those cards, so you're going to play them. How are you going to be excellent in that moment? So I went from there to solar sales. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to sell solar over the phone? You know, you think, like, I'm really great selling it in person. How can I do it over the phone? And I never... it's interesting, like hearing Deborah talk about all these different stats of women in the workplace and men in the workplace. I just didn't care. I was like, and I don't know if that was like my, just the grace of the Lord or whatever gift, but I was like, I'm just going to be the best salesperson on the team because that's me being excellent in this role. And it had nothing to do with, was I competitive or was I successful? It was like, okay, if this is what's in front of me, how am I going to be excellent in it? And so I was the top salesperson. I made $10,000 a month. My 45-year-old male manager cried the day I quit, because I'm like, you're watching all your money go away. But I was like, I was working 12 hours a day. So I would get up, I would drive downtown, I would get home at 8 p.m. And like Jennifer said, you serve with the gifts that you had. I would make dinner. 8 p.m. for my kids every single night. And we just shifted our timeline because I was a better cook than my husband. And it wasn't couldn't he pick up the slack? I mean, there's just none of that. Like, don't even go into comparison mode with your husband. Like, that is a dangerous place to be. Like, don't even think about it. Just think, how am I going to serve? And how am I going to love? And how am I going to be excellent today? And so that wasn't working out because my kids never saw me, and they were little. Like, they were like young elementary. And so then I'm like, gosh, I'm going to get a job at Trader Joe's. It felt like such a demotion. You know, I'm going from making $10,000 a month to, literally waking up at 4 a.m. with a stupid t-shirt on. And, and I used to be a GM of here and that and that. And so anyway, I did that, got promoted to manager at Trader Joe's, which is really difficult to do in 5 months. Pretty much everybody on the team has to pick you to be the next manager. And how you get there is you do good work every single day, and people notice. So I went from there. My husband got a job in Kalamazoo, Michigan as a creative and communications pastor at a large church. So there was no Trader Joe's in Kalamazoo, so I had to quit. So then back to playing the cards that you're dealt, right? So I've got 4 kids. We move across the country. I'm like, what am I going to do? But we needed money, so I had to work. So I got a job at the church. I ran their bookstore. Then they gave me their 2 cafes. Then we started an online bookstore. And then I took over the entire events team. So when I left, they hired 3 people legitimately to replace me. And that kind of has been the trend. And I'm like, wait a minute, I need to be asking for way more money. So it did that. The Lord called us to move back here, which I'm technically here and from here. So moved back here, again, needed a job, needed insurance. I got a job managing 3 wedding venues. So had to learn the whole wedding industry and all of that, and that's a huge beast. And didn't really enjoy the wedding industry. COVID hit, and I kind of got them through COVID, and I was like, this just isn't my thing. So again, playing the cards I'm dealt, I got a job as a catering and events manager for 4 different restaurants here in Kansas City, Café Provence, French Market, Verbena, and the Market at Meadowbrook. Within 5 months, got promoted to GM over Meadowbrook, which is Verbena and the Market at Meadowbrook. And then from there, pretty much increased sales my first month by $100,000 at the restaurant, and was like, okay. And I mean, they're simple things. Like, it's not like here's the manual to how you be excellent in the workplace. If you are godly and you're diligent and you're hardworking and you apply that and you just ask the Lord for favor, ask him to bless you, and just keep doing the next best thing, the most important thing, then promotion will follow. And I think, so I'm totally out of time. So I'm just gonna go through kind of bullet points that kind of led me to where I am now. So first up, it's just you and Jesus. You can't compare. You don't get to take your husband's reward with you. You don't get to take your kids. You don't get to use anything as an excuse. We have no excuses. Be excellent. Be intentional about being excellent at the thing that you are doing right now, not the thing that you want to do in 5 years. Be excellent at the job you have right now, and the Lord will bless you. I promise you that. Be intentional about growth. This kind of goes hand in hand with being excellent, but I'm like a plant mom. I've had dogs, I've got 4 kids, but I love plants. And I find the Lord in nature, and there's something about growing plants that just gets me connected to the Lord. And so if y'all don't know, we can't control how much our plants grow. God controls our growth. But if I am not diligent in the watering, in the taking care of the soil, in the spraying of the ammonia peroxide or whatever, and all of my neem oil and all this stuff, if I'm not diligent at taking care of the plants, no way are they going to grow. And so you have to be intentional about your own growth, and know that it takes our action combined with God's favor to produce that growth. And it's so surprising in so many seasons of life, the darkest, most painful, awful seasons have been the ones where God produced the most growth. And so lean into the hardship, lean into the pain. A lot of like what I found as an adult is like, it's okay to feel fear. It's okay to feel self-doubt. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel all the feels. Feel it, lean into it, have it strengthen you as opposed to be a weakness. My husband's a creative, and I've listened to so many different creative books and watched so many things. And it's like, I don't know your name, I'm so sorry. It's like, no, the girl right here. It's like what you said, like limitations are your strength. Like if you don't have limitations or challenges in life, you're not gonna be growing. Like, so embrace the challenge and say, okay, how can I be excellent in this challenge? And so go back to that excellent piece. Go back to the Lord, it's just me and you. What does it mean for me to really apply myself? And in the business world, we talk about aces in their places. As a manager, your number one job as a manager is to put people in their power alleys. That's it, you know? And so why would I want to hire someone who, even though I need someone in this role, they're going to suck at it. They're going to be good at this role. So put the right people in their place. And so, that's just a little side point. One thing the Lord spoke to me just recently is my husband just had a total colectomy after 15 years of battling ulcerative colitis. So he is at home on bed rest. I am opening a restaurant in 2.5 weeks. I'm homeschooling 4 kids. And this isn't like I'm so strong. This is God so good. But he really is. And like his grace is not to make our lives easy. Life is hard, and that's okay. His grace is there to sustain us, and it's there to walk alongside us and help us through. It's not to make it easy. So I've interviewed, I don't even know how many 15, 16-year-olds lately, you know, that everyone wants a job at my restaurant, and I'm like, y'all suck. Y'all are intentional. You don't know how to work hard. You don't know the right questions to ask. I mean, there's a whole generation of people that have not applied these principles, you know? And it's something that I am like trying to instill in my kids, like be intentional about your growth. Embrace the challenge because it's how you grow. And if you are solely living your life before the Lord and knowing that he is going to reward you at the end of the day, you don't need to worry about what the guy's doing, who's getting promoted, who's making more money. Like, don't worry about any of that because God's got you. And it's not about what you wear. It's not about what you look like. It's about being diligent at the task at hand. And know that his grace will sustain you and get you through. And then you'll look back, and I look back at like the tapestry of the jobs I've had. And I didn't really want to do any of them, you know? But it was like, but you look back and you're like, oh, that prepared me for that, and that prepared me for that. And there's no way that I could be opening up a restaurant if I had never done all of those things. And if I had judged myself in that season of just being a Trader Joe's employee, not even looking for management, like I would have written myself off. And so just have compassion on yourself and the process, and know that it is a journey and the Lord is with you, and you're called to great things, but you're called at the end of the day so that it's you and Jesus forever and you get that reward. So that's it.